This episode is brought to you by Bud Light Canada. To kick off summer 2021, Bud Light is celebrating 2 new epic drinks that we know you'll love this summer. After much anticipation and jealousy from our neighbors down south, Bud Light seltzers are finally here. Meet Bud Light Seltzer, a sparkling hard seltzer with full fruit taste. Bud Light Seltzer is refreshing with natural flavor, 80 calories, and 1 gram of sugar per can. It's available in 4 different flavors: strawberry, black cherry, lemon lime, and mango.
Speaking of mango, Bud Light Mango Beer is now in Canada too. Meet the newest member of the Bud Light beer family, Mango. It's crisp, it's refreshing, and it pours a brilliant sunny golden color. You got the sweet aromas of the fully ripened mangoes, which are one of my favorite fruits ever, no lie. It's a limited edition flavor, so why not see if you can get your hands on it this summer along with the other members such as lime and strawberry lemonade. Bud Light Canada is perfect for any occasion and is totally made for summer, which might just be the most body talk thing I've ever heard of.
I completely agree, so make sure to check out Bud Light Living on social for all things Bud Light Canada, including new product drops, we got merch, and contests.
Let us know what your favorite Bud Light seltzer flavor is and keep your eye out for Bud Light Mango while it's available. Please enjoy responsibly. Thank you so much, Bud Light Canada. Let's hop into today's episode.
Let's do it. Let's
roll the intro. Welcome back to Poddy Talk,
the podcast where we shit talk ourselves.
I'm Jac.
And I'm Tor, and all it took was 81 episodes of Poddy Talk to actually get us all in focus.
Wait, is this 81?
No, sorry, this is actually 82.
82. 2 years. That's crazy.
It might actually be 83. Sorry.
We're in focus, but we don't know what number episode we're on.
81 and 83. Yeah, you know,
We're
that's
here.
Good. It's good vibes. You know, it's taken a lot to get to this place, and what a journey it's been.
What a journey. We've been on an actual journey. Last week we went up to Ottawa. It was our first kind of like girls trip since, everything has happened. And it was so nice to reunite with the squad. We discovered that Manotick in Ottawa is like a cottage country, but like still in a town, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
We went paddle boarding, we tanned, we played board games. A lot of, what was it, catchphrase? No. What's the game?
Code names.
Code names. How could I forget? I brought it up myself.
It's true. Like, it's an elevated experience in the sense that, you know, I always joke, like, you can take the girl out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the girl. It's the type of place that is exactly that energy. It's like, I don't have to leave my city girl behind because I can still go into town and grab a Cosmopolitan, but I also can, you know, sit by the campfire. It's like this perfect hybrid of both worlds. I can still be fabulous while also not being a full lake nature human.
I will say, I've always been someone who's loved like the cottage lake life, and I truly never considered Manotick until after that trip.
Yeah.
And it's when we were actually paddleboarding on like, what's the river called again? I call it the wrong name.
The Rideau Canal.
I called it the Rideau?
Yeah, that's weird.
That
you say
sounds
it like
right
that.
to
No,
me.
It's Rideau.
The Rideau.
Because I think it's very
The
French.
Rideau.
You know, I speak French, guys.
Yeah, clearly I
Don't
barely
you
even
forget it.
I barely even speak English, so I was on the Rideau and
The Rideau.
the Rideau.
Yeah, we love Ottawa. We stan. I think it's great vibes out there, and we're actually taking it, you know, to the next level. I was going to say we're taking it global, but that's not the way you describe it. We're hosting Torchella.
We're
in
keeping it
Manotick.
provincial. Let's be clear.
Yeah, it's actually the exact opposite. We're keeping it very local
In
to
Ontario.
home. In Ontario, you guys know. I act like everyone knows. You guys know. You might know we've done Torchella. It's a game we like.
They
to
know.
Play. It's a game we like to play where I am so extra and have a very extreme birthday party. This will be what fourth annual
year in a row, which is crazy.
4th annual Torchella. Oh yeah, it's coming in hot.
As Tor and I always say, we really are like, I was going to say salt and pepper, but maybe that seems a bit...
We really are salty.
So we are a bit zesty and a little salty, but like we're complete opposites in the best way. The fact that I actually avoid my birthday like the plague, and Tor makes up for the two of us and hosts Torchella. And if you haven't honestly been brought up to speed...
I feel like it's now become, in a good way, even from the beginning, in a good way. Torchella is not really about
It's not about
me.
your birthday.
It's about the essence of the group.
I will say.
It is a bonding experience.
Exactly. In defense of Tor, as much as it sounds like it's her birthday weekend and it's like this crazy
It's actually not about me at all.
I mean, exactly. It is simply your birthday happens, but it's also just like a really good cottage hang for our friend group, which I think is always
it's just
really
like
refreshing.
fabulosity in form, which is, of course, that is tied to my birthday in some capacity, but fabulosity in all forms, coming in hot.
Yeah, so this is going to be an epic one. I feel like also every year your struggle is we have simply too many friends. That's a problem. And there's no Airbnbs that actually fit enough people because there's only 8 people that Airbnb allows.
Yeah, but I need to start taking my own advice. I was rewatching like the last edit on the last episode, and I was like, it's an elite fucking squad, and it's like
about weddings.
About weddings, it's like, girl, take your own advice. Like, stop inviting people.
That's what you got to do. You got to just cut the thing.
What is the line? Again, back to the game.
Am I the asshole?
Why is it every week? No, but it's like, what is the line? Like, what do you think is responsible to, like, listen, if I'm not seeing you, I'm going to go as far as to say 25 times in a year, I don't think you should be at my birthday.
It is so hard. Okay, like, again.
Because friend groups ties, it's hard. It's like, oh, you're going to feel left out, but it's like, suck it up, baby.
It's hard, too, when you know, if someone also maybe has a different perception of the relationship or maybe puts a different value on it that you're like, I don't see the friendship or relationship that way, it can be hard too when people, they all have their own ideas of what the level of the friendship is. And it's hard, I think, to also to put a parameter though, like, oh, I need to see someone 25 years or 25
yeah, years. That too. If I haven't seen you in 25 years, you're not invited.
I need to see you 25
That's
times.
what we're celebrating, my 25.
Actually, yes, 25 all around. But if I haven't seen you 25 times in a year, because there are certain friends, like, I know if I think of the friend groups in my life, I have certain friends that simply are someone that I see twice a year,
I guess
but they're
it's
a great
not
friend.
Yeah.
But it's hard if it's like one of your local friends and then suddenly you are not seeing them the same way that
That's
you used
what I mean.
to. Okay,
maybe
it's specific to each
rule
relationship.
is actually about proximity. Like, if you're in my neighborhood, if you're within a $20 Uber ride and I don't see you, do you know what I mean though? If you're out of the country or you're traveling, like, yeah, of course you have friends that you can go years without seeing and you can just land back in those same comfortable like places. But then there's also friends where it's like you gotta make the effort.
It's very true. No, I agree. It's true.
All to say, it's an exclusive list, so there you go.
It'll be a fun getaway. I think it'll be the first time. Oh, I just kicked our camera. We've got so many cameras now. Look at how upgraded we are. From the closet to 3 cameras.
I dare you right now to go back and watch the first episode of Poddy Talk and then come back to this and feel a full circle growth moment.
You know what? We were just reviewing some of the older episodes, and I don't know how, but I convinced Tori to simply be wet hair in a robe with no makeup on for one episode, which simply is actually against your spirit.
So I need to call something out. You have said the word simply tonight actually 800 times.
Really?
Have you noticed it?
No.
Oh, now that I've called it out, you're not gonna, or you'll never think of it the same. You said it almost in every sentence. You'd be like,
since filming or just in general tonight?
In general. Like, it would be like, yeah, coffee, but then simply this, and then this, and then it's simply. You said simply actually in that last sentence like 3 times. And then I had to call it out because I was like, she's losing language. She keeps what's saying funny? The same word.
Simply? That I say the word.
Where does that come from?
It's just maybe like a filler, like, you know.
Because I say simply sometimes, and I've noticed it, and then I kind of stopped because I was like, I think I'm using it as too much. Like, I don't actually.
Tonight specifically, or in general?
No, I've been thinking about this for months. Yeah.
So I've been on Simply Watch tonight because you had.
Because I had it in my head, and then you were saying it a lot, like in context that it doesn't technically make sense.
Yeah,
but
we say it in like a different way.
It's like a. What would you describe it as? Like, it's almost like it's instead of saying like, almost.
That's what I'm saying. It's like a filler word, like saying or like.
That's what it is, yeah.
And then I find I do cycle through words. So, like, I know
Same.
I was watching the vlog from our getaway
I was
from Ottawa.
simply watching it. You know what I mean, though? Like, it could be like
that. I use it as a filler, and I add it in. But I feel like I say the word actually a lot, and I couldn't, again, when you hyper-focus on one thing.
Words. Do you want to play a game?
Yeah, let's do it.
Which words we say. I know ones that you say.
Okay, start with me.
The one that she always says, this is specifically in business meetings, and I die every time. I'm curious what you think.
I'm curious.
You say the word curious all the time. You'll be like, I'm curious. What do you think about that? Or you'll be like, oh, that's curious. What do you think we think about this? And you say the word curious like all the time. I'm curious what you think about that.
I'm pretty curious.
I think it's a good thing.
Curious.
I don't think it's a bad word. I'm just saying I'm playing the game. I'm calling out the game, and that is that you say the word curious a lot.
Oh, that's so funny.
Even in a friendship context, like
I'm
when you're trying to
curious. Tell
get
me your
information
thoughts.
from someone, you'll be
Yeah,
like,
I
so
do
I'm
say that.
curious, like, what do you think about this? Or like, I'm curious what you think about that.
That is so
yeah,
true.
you say that a lot. That's like
oh my god, I need to think of like
Jac-Ism.
I was just gonna say I need to think of the Tor-Isms.
I definitely have some.
You cycle though. I feel like you cycle like you have phases of like 3 months of
saying very specific things.
Well, right now you're speaking in your Love Island language, and you say like these weird things that I've truly never heard of.
Yeah,
before.
we say like banter a lot these days because we've been playing into the UK.
Actually, you know what was so funny? Okay, I was with my college girlfriends last weekend, and one of them is British. And back when I first met her, she used to say the word mingin all the time, which I don't know if actually is that an offensive word. Like, should I just be saying that freely? I don't know. Did they say that though in Love Island?
I've never heard that in my life.
Oh, really? I feel like it's like.
What does it mean?
Mingin, like it's just like, oh, it's trash, like it's so mingin, like gross, like
gross. Okay.
I think so. I mean, I hope someone correct me if this is like a slur. I really hope it's not. No, I think it's just like
Urban Dictionary?
I mean, yeah, mingin, but she used to say that all the time, so she got me saying it back in the day, and we were just bringing up all of the words that she had introduced to my vocabulary.
It's interesting because we don't notice it because I think within our friend group we all speak very similarly. Like we all all copy each other's isms, if that makes sense.
You speak very much so more like in the British UK. Like you say like, oh, that's absolutely not. Like you speak very definitively now.
Yes.
Like very like big like what's another one?
Big words.
Big words. Speak some very big words.
Well, the ones we always say, and which was like Madison is actually a good person to call me out on it because I don't notice it within our own friend group. It's the same way that you wouldn't notice saying simply.
I know, I can barely even.
Is the same way we wouldn't. But then when I go to LA and I see her, she goes, every time I hang out with you, you bring these new Canadian like isms, but they're not even really Canadian isms. It's like our friend group isms.
Yeah.
And the one that we all like love in our friend group and that Adam always makes fun of us for because he thinks it sounds rude is that we say understood. Like we don't say like, I understand.
You texted me that today.
Like we just say understood, but it's not meaning like passive aggression. It's meaning I understand.
It's like copy that.
It's like copy that. It's like understood, no problem.
Yeah.
In our friend group, that's what it means. But to someone else, it could. If I said like, "Oh, understood," they might be like, "Oh, she's mad."
Yeah.
But no, it's actually me being nice.
And it's like that's the full sentence, understood. Period. So it's like today, you were like, "Do I need to bring the tripod?" I go, "Oh yeah, I think you do. Like, I don't have enough tripods. It'd be great if you could bring one."
Understood.
And you go, "Understood."
Because it's just acknowledging, and then it's over.
I understood the message. I received it, and I agree, and I'm aligned.
Understood. It's basically aligned.
That's what you do. You do aligned.
Aligned, but.
That used to have more of a moment.
Became aligned.
It replaced it. It replaced it for sure. There's another one that I'm missing that I know you say definitely. I mean, you got me saying slaps because that was an Adam.
That was an Adam.
Oh, this absolutely slaps. You definitely say absolutely a lot though.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely. You go, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You say here's the thing a lot.
That's interesting.
So you know what? Here's the thing.
Oh yeah.
When you dive into like your exactly.
Here's the thing. You know, here's the thing. Yeah.
So you know what I think it actually is? You know what Yeah. It's
actually
hard.
Yeah, it's hard now in context.
I know.
When
I hear you,
okay,
as we start talking,
you're like, that's
the one. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I simply cannot say simply anymore.
Please don't. It was killing me at dinner, but I was like, it's fine.
I was saying I'm curious or simply a lot?
Simply, like you were saying it. I was like, I wonder if Megan's noticing it because you would say it like again. It's weird because for us it makes sense, but for other people,
it probably sounds
simply seems confusing because it's like. Yeah, so I'm simply going to dinner.
I simply need to know.
Yeah.
Oh, I simply do not understand. It is. Yeah. It's a filler. It's a filler word.
It's like saying like. We got to be better, guys.
Do we say like a lot?
Comment your isms below. I don't think we say like that much, to be honest.
Someone make a compilation. I'm sure we say it enough.
I think, you know what's interesting, if we really go back, we were calling out the original episodes today. I think when we first started editing those first episodes, we called it out on ourselves. We said, oh my goodness, we're saying like so much.
Yeah.
I think we've become professionals, if you ask me. I don't think I say like that much anymore. I think I was really bad.
Yeah.
My parents used to be like, you're Valley girls, stop saying that.
Yeah, I know I definitely will still say as a filler, but it's easier to edit out an that conjoins thoughts versus a sentence that's full of it. Like, at the end of a sentence, I will say, and then move on to the next thing, but that's easy to cut around. But when you're editing, you notice things that you hate or things that you're constantly editing around, so you're right.
You can't edit around because you're in the middle of the sentence.
And it throws off the flow if you try to chop that out or like dissect it. But I think we've also gotten better. I remember the very first time we filmed, we watched it back, and we simply could not follow.
No, see, that didn't need to be there. That's the point.
It's like the emphasis, you know? It's like
we simply didn't need to be there. But we, in fact, did.
What was I saying?
When we
were editing, we would speak over each other, and it was a nuisance to edit, and we could barely follow our own thoughts because we realize we can understand each other when we're talking at the same time. We agree, and it's like your own little like language, and I understand. But when you're just listening to the audio, oh my God, we decided that it was the worst thing ever, and we were so conscious after that very first episode. We're like, we have to end our sentences, complete a thought, end a sentence, take a breath, let the other person speak. But when we're together, we just...
Well, if anything else, I think a podcast is a good lesson in listening because, it's really easy to want to just jump in with your thoughts. More, I think, even when we had guests on, that was a big thing, figuring out the role of us. Like, how do we include them? But then also, without including them, like, make sure that we've got enough airtime, you know? And then also listening to each other and not over-talking, like talking on each other.
That is literally so true. Literally. Now, all these little words now I'm thinking.
That is literally simply
simply so amazing. I'm actually curious what you...
Oh
my God, now I'm able to speak without hyper-analyzing it. But no, it is interesting, and I am curious about it.
God. The curiosity kills the cat.
But
once again.
It is funny when you think about the different roles and depending which like hat you're wearing, in the sense that I know sometimes when I would be doing more of like formal interviews, the whole goal is get that person to talk the most. I need to say enough that will get them to feel comfortable and to open up and to get the information or get the story that you're trying to get out of them. But it simply is not about me. And even though
I don't like that game.
But well, in that moment I understand that. But it is interesting even when you're editing, the fact that okay, as much as I selfishly want to add my reaction in there, the regular viewer or the fangirl that's watching that cares so much about that artist wants to see the other person. Like they're clicking on this video not because it has anything to do with me actually. Whereas when the podcast, the dynamic changes because you might have your listeners who are, you know, your weekly listeners, but you also might have someone who is just there for your guest.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting balance. I know even recently we've had some of our guests on, like I think of Olivia, for example.
Yeah.
We didn't know Olivia. We didn't have a relationship outside of the podcast, whereas some friends we did. So we kind of understood that balance a bit better.
Have a little more jive.
So with her, we like genuinely had so many questions. We're like, just tell me about this.
Yeah, because we're getting to know her the same way the audience
Exactly.
is.
So it's like that maybe feels a bit more like an interview because it's more just about them. But then you want to find natural moments when to segue in your own connections, your own personal moments. And it's like
it's still about us.
But yeah, it's like so interesting that you are, I guess, analyzing even like how to have a conversation in the best way that's suited for the specific content that you're making.
Yeah. I think
whereas this, we can just be obnoxious and just talk about ourselves.
That was the beginning inspiration for the podcast, was us being so obnoxiously like, I guess, ourselves was like the whole context. And I think we successfully achieved that, if I'm honest. So that's great. That's a good, nice accomplishment to come through. But we always joke about the podcast, and you guys probably don't know this because we don't really talk about it, but nothing has gone right on our end. Like, we joke that like every podcast we try to edit, like there was always like one thing was missing or something was off. Like it was never just like, yeah, perfect episode. It was like, the audio has crashed at the 32-minute mark and we are no longer rolling. Like, guys, it has not been a peaceful experience.
I will never forget the night that...
Have you ever told that story about that podcast episode?
I don't know. I'll dive into it quickly. It's honestly a bit traumatic for me to relive, but it was also my own stupidity, so if there's any lesson to take away from it, it is that you have to... I just caught myself.
What'd you say?
I was going to say simply.
Dude, that's what I'm saying.
I know, I heard me go. I went...
It's kind of good when someone flags it though, because then I'm helping you.
It actually is.
What if you were doing it too much to other people? And
I am glad, and that's why you're here. And thank you for that. But no, so basically, the long story long is that we had it was one of the first times we did a guest. We thought we had ironed out all the kinks. We were in studio at this point. We had our lav mics on, so just like there was a lot of different layers happening to it on top of the visual component. And this was our first time we had a guest. So we assumed we had been using 2 mics before, adding a third mic wouldn't change anything. Oh, no.
Huge mistake.
So it was recorded on a separate track, I guess. Anyways, the long and short of it, we had this new audio track. It wasn't at the same frame rate, I guess, which I didn't think that had anything to do with audio because I think of frame rate only affecting video.
Yeah.
And
we learned a lot. Let's just put it that way.
It was the point where I had gotten pretty comfortable editing the podcast, and
I don't even think we ever explained that. We would do one after another.
Yeah, we would flip it back and forth. Because from the get-go, I was like, I think we should like do like equal. Like, we don't want to power imbalance in that sense. Totally.
Work. Yeah.
Totally. And at
Before we had precious Alma, who now edits the podcast.
Shout out to our editor. We love you.
Amazing. That's why we have multiple camera angles now, because we don't know how to do this.
And if you want to contact her, her info is down below. Hire her. She's great.
Hire her. She is 10 out of 10.
And so I had gotten pretty comfortable with editing it at this point, and I knew how to do the new audio tracks that we were doing. And I left it until the night before, which big mistake because the episodes always go live at 6 a.m. on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
And what's so weird, and this is more, I think speaks to a problem that I have, because you are much more lax in a good way about this, is that if I have something consistent happening, I don't want to break a spree. I have like a hard, it's hard for me to digest breaking.
No, I was the opposite. I was like, we need it to be live. I'm the same. Like,
oh, you were?
Maybe I was being nice to you.
Maybe you were being nice. Maybe I guess we were the same at that point.
I think we equally wanted it. We didn't want it to go live on a different day.
Right.
Like, if it's not going live on that Wednesday, we will not put it on the Thursday. We'll wait until next Wednesday.
I agree. Exactly.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was very much to a spree. We had never broken it. And at that point, I think we were hitting every single Wednesday.
Yeah.
Whereas more recently, we had hiatuses and breaks to make it more digestible. But at that point, we were going every single Wednesday since we started. We had never missed a Wednesday at 6 a.m. And it was probably about 8 p.m. on the Tuesday.
Whoa.
I'm thinking this is going to be about an hour edit. I'll call it a day. I'll upload it, get it going. And that's when I realized things had gone awry and the audio would not sync up. So what I had to do is manually sync up every single sentence of an hour and 10-minute long podcast. Whenever anyone spoke, I had to reline it up each time. And it was the most treacherous thing that I ever did. And I think it honestly made me go a bit like, my eye was twitching by the end of it.
Tweaked out.
But I had a level of responsibility, and I think that is a good thing in hindsight, but I didn't want to obviously let anyone down, and I pulled an all-nighter, and I think we got it up maybe at like 8 a.m. the next day. I think it missed the 6 a.m., but it was still live by the morning. But that was my sign, is don't ever...
Well, because I think that's the not unique, but kind of. Like, let's say that was like a YouTube video for you. You'd be like, okay, well, I'm just going to work on this tomorrow, but you had this inherent partnership to me where you were like...
I didn't want to let you down.
Yeah, then it's like, okay, that's a different expectation.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was when I learned you don't ever do anything different the night before or leave something to the night before. And this is also back to our theory that you don't get a spray tan for the first time before a big event. You need to do things with a bit of timing and leeway if something is new.
Would you say you're a procrastinator?
No, but I also do work good on like tight deadlines. But I also, I wouldn't say I'm a procrastinator.
I guess that's not really procrastination.
It just happened, like the week got a bit busy and I had other like things adding up, and I was like, I know this will be only an hour work. I can schedule it in for this time.
Right. Like,
and it just
like,
got...
I'm just going to make that fit.
Totally. In a normal circumstances, it would have worked out, but geez, I still don't honestly even understand half of those things. All that to say that the podcast has never been easy.
Yeah, not really.
It, in theory, like, should be.
That was always our joke.
Yes.
We were like, really, we're like pointing cameras at us and talking into like a literal thing that's made to make us sound good, and yet somehow every fucking time something goes wrong. Like, I genuinely don't understand.
And also the irony of it is that most of the time we're using all of the same gear that we use.
No, we've never really used real
situations.
Gear. Yeah, like new gear. It's almost
these are the cameras that I film on all the time, but why they only specifically
glitch
actually
the F out.
It's like the Bermuda Triangle, something we've been talking about a lot.
Poddy is in the Bermuda Triangle officially. Somewhere lost in the abyss and things go awry.
That is very true.
That is the truth of the matter.
Oh my.
So come find us in the depths of the ocean. That's just where we're at, you know?
Why was that our literal conversation driving up to Ottawa on a 4-hour drive talking about the Bermuda Triangle and how apparently it has moved / expanded?
Because our friend just came home from Bermuda.
Oh, right.
Thank God
she made it through the Bermuda Triangle. Through? But how does it even work? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not worth discussing, to be honest. I don't know enough about it to even delve into that. if I'm being truthful to
that
myself.
makes sense. Moving
Yeah.
on. Speaking of
That
actual
makes sense. Moving on.
conversation, I
Yeah.
was thinking about this earlier when we were talking about like speech patterns and even
Yeah.
how we overlap when we talk. And I also think it's something that's very common between friends or whoever you're surrounding yourself with. Like you mirror people's energy. But something that I was discussing this past weekend was with my, I went to go visit my cousin who was normally living abroad. She's finally home, could finally see her. And I was chatting with her boyfriend who has some ADHD, and he was talking about how
He has some ADHD.
and how it like manifests for him is very much so that he can't help but speak over people. And I was like, oh, I actually relate. I'm someone who talks over people all the time, but it's, I think, very misconstrued and people think you're being rude, but really the way that I see it is I'm connecting with you and I'm so excited to be like, yes, I agree and this is what, and like I just want to let them know that I understand them, and that's how I communicate. I'm listening and I'm connected to what you're saying. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's exactly what I do it for. Like it's because I'm actually connected and so engaged, and it's not that I'm trying to be rude and cut you off and undermine or undervalue what you're saying, but that is simply how it's perceived. No way around it.
Is it simply perceived like that?
Oh my god. Tori.
Oh, it's not simply perceived like that. Yeah, it is. You're ruining it. You're ruining the word for me.
Take over. Take over.
Take over.
This is why we have the partnership.
I understand. I want to work on that, though. I don't like it.
For me or for you?
No.
I want you to work.
No. I don't like it as a practice. I think we're a generation that does it more than previous. I think we like to just get our points across. We also, I think, struggle with it. Like, it's just like this, like...
Do you think it's a generational thing?
It's the way I feel. I don't really run into that when I'm talking to, like, let's say my aunt or uncle or, like, people of that gen. Even my parents. Like, they don't, like, cut me off or... Like, I finish a sentence and then they'll be like, oh, okay.
Maybe there is a correlation to the idea that
It's like this energy of, like, we're all trying to, like, one-up each other, talk over each other. Not inherently talk over each other, but we, like, accidentally.
Or maybe the idea that your opinion can always be voiced somewhere. If that's because of social media and you can always have a space to add a comment or add your own thoughts. We are more used to the access of being able to comment on other people's
shit.
Exactly.
So we just insert ourselves. And I'm saying...
That's a takeaway.
I would like to... retract myself and not do that.
That's
I think
good.
I definitely do it. I think I would do it more in group settings because of your point, wanting to feel connected to the group.
Yeah.
But then it actually is a deterrent. Although I've been a lot more self-aware of it in my older age. Like, I'm sure as a kid I must have done it all the time and bothered people just because of my outgoing likeness.
Yeah.
But I feel like as an adult, I often catch myself and I'm like, oh, let them like finish all of their thoughts before you say anything.
I know. It's the worst too when you know you're kind of interrupting the flow of people's thoughts. And like, oh, what was I talking about before? But you totally detracted the conversation. But you're like, I was just trying to add this little input and let you know that I understand what you were saying. And I feel like that's also very similar to something we were talking about at dinner earlier tonight. The idea that we do live life a little bit with rose-colored glasses on, which again, there's pros and cons to anything, but I do think I'd rather be more leaning towards that side and believing that people have my best interests at heart. Okay, maybe not best interests at heart. That they like are, what is it, thinking like the best of me or have the best intentions. Like,
sure.
If you're living,
they like you.
Yeah. If you're living in this mindset that people don't like your ideas, you don't want to be heard, that it all becomes...
Well, you're going to silence yourself, ultimately.
And it changes your personality or how you project outwardly to the world. So I do think it's a bit better to be more on the side of a bit rose-colored glasses. Ignorance is a little bit of bliss. Sometimes.
I think it also works in certain friend groups, right? Because it's like we have a friend group where if someone wants to be heard... they don't care that you've talked over them. Yeah. Really. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, if you talked over me, it'd be like, okay, well, you stop for a second because I have 7 million things I want to say, and then you can talk. But, like, that's because we're in a friend group that is all very outgoing and loud and zesty and whatever. But I think that's why it's, like, almost adjusting for, like, certain
Know
groups.
your audience.
Know your audience, but I think when you fall into habits of doing that with people close to you, it's a lot harder to turn those things off.
That is very true. And I know that about myself as well. Like, you get so comfortable in whether it's your behavior, speech patterns, even like my posture, getting used to like, especially after this past year and a half.
How am I sitting right now?
I know. Oh, there we go. Now I'm out of frame. I frame myself as I'm slouched over.
I frame out
But all of these things, whatever the majority of your day is, the majority of your interactions, that becomes whatever your normal is. This turns into like an Advil ad.
Yeah, what was
Get
that?
back to your normal, whatever your
I was
normal
like, what is that?
But no, I mean, it's very interesting, and I think there's a fine balance of being aware enough, but not hyper aware, period.
Love that. That's what we bring to the table here at Poddy Talk. Fabulous work, Fab. So, okay, I will challenge you to an extreme
What up?
roses and thorns.
Is this the time? Okay. A thorn of the day is I will own this. I kind of double booked myself for something, and I had to kind of bail out on a prior commitment.
Ooh.
Which,
work-wise or dinner-wise? Like, were you had to go to a
no,
dinner?
like personal life-wise about.
Oh, I literally
just talked about
She's literally
this.
been talking about this personal issue for an hour and a half, and I literally just don't remember.
No,
Classic. See, bad listener. There you go.
It was something that I kind of felt stuck in the middle with, and I was like, I just want to do it all, and sometimes you simply cannot have it all.
Fair.
But the roast is that it actually kind of worked out, so
you can have it all is
I
actually
think,
the
yeah,
takeaway.
I think it's also just, there's something that I've actually been taking with me to life, and it's just say what you want in life, and I think there are times, again, take that with a grain of salt, but there are situations where I try to do the quote-unquote respectful thing, and I don't want to ask for too much or be annoying or be a bother, but also, it's if you don't ask, then you'll never get what you want. And then also, if you're going to be doing something that you didn't want to do and then you could have just asked, and then you'll have resentment. Like, it can turn into this whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's also no one else's fault other than your own if you don't voice what you want. And I've been trying to take that a bit more. And again, there's boundaries with it. You don't want to be just going off and I want this to do that. Like, no. But if there's something that you think, oh, this change can be made, or hey, I want this in business and life.
Being more flexible with your own, like, freedoms. Like, sometimes we put, like, boundaries on ourselves. And in that case, you're just being like, hey, like, I'm allowed to ask for things.
Totally.
To see, even if the answer is no, that's fine.
Totally. And I think it's interesting. And I wonder if this is, like, a deep, like, maybe, like, ingrained lesson that I had learned, that it's like, oh, if you ask for something, you're putting someone out, or you, like, you're not being easy. And it's like, well, that's okay sometimes. Like, again, my preferences or priorities, like, that's allowed to be voiced.
Sure.
Anyway, so it all ended up working out.
She's simply extra.
A little extra. But yeah, so that was a bit of a thorn that I felt like I was kind of putting people out, and I kind of had a change of schedule, but it all ended up working out, so that was good. A rose is, you know what, we had a really lovely dinner tonight, and it's just been so, honestly, reviving for the soul to be able to reconnect with so many people that you haven't been able to see in real life. And the past, like, week and a half, 2 weeks, it's just been, like, so overbooked with people, but in the best way, that it is just really revived and, like, lifted the soul to a new level that I kind of almost forgot what this was like, and I was like, oh yes, this is how it should be. Another rose is, okay, I decided that solid nails on me feel chuggy. And I mean, I definitely am not someone who is like, I do some of the chuggy things, and that's okay. And I wear styles that probably will be chuggy.
Full colored nails are chuggy?
Yeah.
Like a typical...
Yeah. Like a solid nail polish on me feels chuggy.
Oh, wow.
And I've decided that...
It is, to me, the exact opposite.
Like, this is something that will be out of style in 3 months, for sure.
Chug.
For sure. But on myself, a solid nail just feels so... like, just, like, out of date on me.
Wow.
And I actually last week you saw, because I came home from our weekend, I had to redo my nails. I just did a quick little paint, and then I am so visually and spatially affected. You know this. Like, I'm very visual. And every time I looked at my hands, it actually brought anger, and I wanted to rip them off, but I didn't want to break my nails, so I just removed them and I redid them, and I said, no more solid nail polish. I'm all about having fun with my nails. It is an expression of freedom.
Okay.
And no more solid nail polish, so my fun nails are back, and that made me happy. Rose. And then something I'm looking...
Mine must be really chug then. Extensions and all pink.
That's not chuggy. That's like a natural nude, and again, it's more specific to my hand and my soul.
Okay.
Like,
I understand.
Do you kind of understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
Thank you.
Understood. I feel you.
Something I'm looking forward to is in-class workouts are back. I booked F45, 12
so
o'clock
good.
classes all week.
Yeah.
and I will be there.
Fitness.
And I'm
health
so
is wealth.
excited. Yeah.
I think everyone was like hungover at my Saturday class, and I was like, health is wealth, baby.
And you just arrived like fully ready to go, and everyone's like,
I was also hungover. We were all there together into the thick of it, you know, like that type of vibe. But anyways, whatever.
Oh, that's too funny. Okay, Tori, roses and thorns.
Oh, a thorn for sure was that I was shooting today, and it was a scorcher. It was so hot. It was literally so hot to the point where like, there's this weird in between. Like, I don't like shooting in the winter because you're so freezing and hideously cold and covered up and in so many layers it doesn't even look cute. You're like a bonhomme. And then I also don't love shooting in the summer in this type of heat where you're so humid that it's literally like stash of sweat, makeup dripping down the face, no clothing looks good, all the lines, all the botox that you're thinking you're gonna need in 5 years. It's just like, it's terrible. So there's like this weird in between. Like, I only like shooting in April at like 3 p.m. Like, it's just like a really specific like time. And that was not met today.
It's
humid.
So
it was humid as shit. And I was really, really hot for the camera.
I have a question. Is this the same makeup? Did it survive or was it a full redo?
Same makeup.
Inspiration.
Since like 8 a.m. this morning. Like, I've literally been out all day.
Shout out Urban Decay All-Nighter Spray.
Wow, baby. So good. So then, what's next on the agenda?
Roses, positives.
Rose. I would say a rose is that. Oh, what has gone on
like,
today?
today was absolutely trash.
No, it was a good day. A rose was, I had lunch like randomly with my parents and brother just because I was uptown shooting. And then, but it was like, I was like in the middle of the workday and they were like, yeah, let's grab lunch. And I was like, guys, like, I do work. Like, I can't just have like grab lunch. But anyways, we grabbed lunch. So I did go. That was a rose. It was really, really lovely. And that was super nice. And then another rose, just like the very specific timeline of life where it's like gonna be 5 p.m. and your workday's ending, but then you actually get to get ready to go out for dinner. Today. That is like something like and it's a stressful time. Let's be clear. It's not like a nice time, but you're like, oh, I got to kind of freshen up my makeup, throw on a cute outfit, hop in that Uber or get in your car and like get on the road and get to my like fun dinner. And like, that's just a very specific moment that was so cherishly missed in COVID. And I would just say rose to that moment today, you know?
I was saying even earlier, the fact that when you have like a 5:30 plan that you actually, when you're working at 3 o'clock, you're like, oh, well, in half an hour, I kind of actually have to start getting ready. So technically I should be doing my work now. And then 4 o'clock, the laptop's closed. Like,
it's like
actually
this
turns
weird
into an
like
afternoon thing somehow.
Yeah.
What about a rosebud?
Looking forward to, well, we've done a lot of like resurrection of old episodes today, so I look forward to looking back at this episode. When did we do the first one? 2 years ago?
2018.
Yeah, so 2018. So 3 years ago? How does that make sense?
No. Spring of 2019.
Okay. Sure.
Yes?
2.5 years?
Yeah.
So I look forward to looking back at this at that same time in 2.5 years and being like, whoa, look how well she's changed and only 1 ounce of Botox in the face. No, I'm kidding. But I have no work done, by the way. That was a total joke. It was a joke, but I'm just calling it out now so that when I look at this in 2 years, I can be like, girl, you were so natural back then. It's all good.
Are you planning on having a crazy visit to the doctor?
No, but you know how everyone is like preventative Botox, and then you're like, what age do you actually start?
I'm not.
I don't want any.
I'm not.
Your mom has none, right?
No, none.
Does she want any?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. She like has aged so well, and
yeah.
Part of me also like as much it's. You know what? Plastic surgery has always been a very fascinating thing to me.
Yeah.
Especially being more in the beauty space. I'm very hyper aware of it. And I've always been fascinated by it. Like the idea of transformation, whether it be with permanent or semi-permanent things. Or something you can wipe off at the end of the day has been very fascinating to me. And I'm so intrigued to watch it, but without having any like personal desire about it. But it's weird. Like I think it's so interesting. But then I was watching this like interesting podcast or like a YouTube video about it.
Yeah.
Talking about the idea how a lot of plastic surgery, and again, this may be controversial. I don't necessarily know my full thoughts on it.
Yeah.
But it's based on a lot of misogyny, which is actually something that I never thought about before. So it totally just like...
What do you mean by that?
How most of the standards are catered to the male gaze and...
Yeah. But why would me fixing my own Botox to feel fabulous come from a place of misogyny when I don't really give a shit?
I guess if the level of fabulousness is based on the fact that you have a wrinkle or not. And I'm not saying this as if I believe that, but I'm thinking that's the...
Wait, what do you mean?
Like that you have a learned idea that
you're more
is
fabulous
yes.
with less wrinkles.
Yes, because that's been told to you through
marketing.
Women are only beautiful when they're young and have no wrinkles.
Right.
Which, again, I mean, I think there's maybe an idea of that you could expand on. I don't know if I fully believe in that. And again, hey, I'm also very much the type of person that's like, I don't speak in definitives. This is how I feel right now. I'm 23.
Listen, when we get back here in 2.5 years.
I'm like, I got my nose done. What up? And I'm also, though, of the belief of, like, bodily autonomy is so important and people should do what they want with their bodies as long as it's not hurting anyone.
I agree.
But yeah, it was just an interesting thought that I never really explored before. And it was actually, maybe it was a TikTok that let me there. I don't know. You know, TikTok changes our lives. And
I'm really not against plastic surgery at all. But
yeah.
I definitely would love to go as much of my life without it as possible. But I will say I do believe in like fabulosity, as we know is my culture. The culture of
Don't
fabulosity.
dull her sparkle.
So if that means enhancing my fabulosity into my 40s and, you know, a little something just to zest up the, you know, vibes.
You do you, boo. That's the quote.
It's more the 11s that I'm concerned about, specifically because I have a very dramatic face.
Are you ever afraid that it would interfere with your facial reactions? Especially being
But that's
close
what I
on
mean.
camera?
That's why I would never get it until way later in life, and only if necessary. But for example, you're resting, and we already have fucking wrinkles.
Yeah.
No,
It shows
I
the
hate
life.
that.
I like it. It shows my life.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not.
I see your 11s, and you see mine.
Yeah, I don't see your 11s.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just you then, babe.
She's like, get Botox.
You have wrinkles. No, I have one here, though. Can you see that one?
You're not right now. I mean, you don't. You really don't.
Oh, baby. Maybe on my light, I can see it.
I don't want to see my face close
Yeah,
up
now you're like, I got
like,
the 11.
I guess I'm going.
No, that's the thing. Don't worry. We're all to say, I'm just saying I will revisit this, and I hope I'm just as fabulosity. That's
I hope we're sitting on a couch eating a big arugula salad, living our best life.
You know I love arugula.
Arugula has always been our favorite vegetable.
It
Let's
really
be
is.
real.
I want a sweater that says arugula.
Arugula. Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Poddy Talk,
the podcast where we shit talk ourselves.
I'm Jac.
And I'm Tor, and thank you so much for listening. We love you, and thank you to Bud Light for sponsoring this episode. You're a very special partner, and we couldn't do it without you. So.
Thank you so much, Bud Light. We love you. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.